and thanks so much for joining us today. We're glad you're here, and we've got a topic that we think is going to hit home for a lot of warehouse teams, understanding what your data is actually telling you. For those of you who don't know us yet, I'm Amy Dean, Vice President of Operations at SC Codeworks.
And I'm Tony Baldwin, Director of Pre-Sales and Implementation at SC Codeworks.
And if you're not familiar with SC Codeworks, we help warehouse teams simplify the complex, whether that's selecting the right WMS, improving workflows, or making sure tech actually fits how your operation runs. We're big believers in practical, real-world solutions, and that's what today's session is all about. We're not here to pitch you software. We're here to talk about practical ways to improve warehouse performance. You don't need fancy dashboards or a massive IT team to make your data work for you.
So why are we talking about KPIs or warehouse data in the first place? Because here's the reality. Too many operations are still making decisions based on gut feel. And to be fair, the gut instinct is valuable, but it doesn't scale and it doesn't always tell the full story.
And this isn't just a conversation for big companies with giant IT budgets. Data helps every warehouse compete, even small to mid-sized ones. When you understand what your operation is trying to tell you, you can move faster, avoid surprises, and make smarter calls with less second guessing. And when you can see what's going on, you can fix what's not working faster. In today's session, we're going to break that down into real-world terms. What metrics matter most, how to actually get them, and how to turn those numbers into action. So let's jump in. Let's start with the basics. What are KPIs? We like to use other phrases too, like performance metrics, operational benchmarks, numbers that matter, or even warehouse health indicators. Because ultimately, that's what KPIs are. They're signals. They give you a pulse on how your warehouse is running.
That's right. And it's not about drowning in the data. It's about using a few clear indicators to measure progress and spot problems early. Here are a few examples we often work with. Order accuracy. Are we shipping the right things at the first time? Dock to stock time. How quickly we are moving product from receiving to its storage location. Another one is pick rate per hour. How many lines we're picking per person per hour. Inventory turnover, how often we actually do a fully cycle through our stock.
And why do they matter? Because they give you visibility, so you're not flying blind. Without visibility, you're guessing. With it, you're diagnosing and solving. They also help you identify hidden costs like wasted motion, underused space, or excessive overtime. And they support smarter, faster decisions, which is key in today's warehouse environment where customers' expectations are high and margins are tight.
You can think of KPIs as your operational truth tellers. They don't care about what should be happening. They show you what actually is happening.
So how do you get this data? The good news, you don't need an expensive analytics suite to get started. Start with what you already have. Your WMS or ERP probably has built-in reporting tools. Barcode scanners can tell you who picked what and when. Time clocks or labor tracking apps help measure throughput. And even manual logs or spreadsheets are fine to begin building a baseline.
We've worked with plenty of teams who started with nothing more than a clipboard and an Excel file and a stopwatch. And that's okay. The most important thing is consistency. You don't need perfect numbers. You need directional data that shows you what's changing over time.
Right. You're looking for trends, not anomalies.
Mm-hmm.
Is dock to stock time improving? Are pick rates dropping on Mondays? Do accuracy issues spike during second shift?
So let's imagine a new simple dashboard. It just shows 4 metrics for pick accuracy, on-time shipments, inventory accuracy, and employee productivity. It doesn't have to look fancy. It just needs to be readable and visible to the team.
That becomes your operational scorecard. It gives everyone from leads to leadership a shared view of performance. And a tip is put it where people can see it, whether it's on a break room screen or printed out on a whiteboard. Visible metrics drive engagement and accountability.
So now you've got your metrics. How do you use them? So start with just 3 to 5 KPIs that match your biggest pain points or priorities. Today, we're going to walk through 3 we see most often. The first is dock to stock time. The second is order cycle time. And the third and last is inventory accuracy rate.
So let's look at some real world examples. We had a customer come to us struggling with long dock to stock times. Product was sitting for hours before being put away, sometimes overnight. And that created a domino effect of blocked aisles, delayed picking, inefficient receiving labor. And when we dug into the data, we found that their average dock to stock time was 8 hours.
So we do what we do, and we broke it down. The WMS showed redundant steps. Receivers were scanning, then walking across the floor to relabel, then staging it for someone else to move it. We introduced scanning at the dock, added a labeling station right there, and updated a workflow within the WMS so the product could go directly to the slot.
And the result? Dock to stock time dropped from 8 hours to under 2. No extra headcount, just smarter workflow and a warehouse that flowed better every shift. Another client had customers calling to ask, "Where's my order?" daily. Long cycle times were dragging them down. Orders were lagging, customer complaints were rising, and no one was sure where the breakdown was.
And again, we looked at the data. Pick rates were sluggish and travel time was unusually high. Accuracy was okay, but not enough to compensate. It turned out the high volume SKUs were spread all over the warehouse. Fast movers were at the opposite ends of the warehouse. Pickers were getting fatigued, having to constantly drive across the warehouse between picks. We helped them reslot their high velocity items near pick pack stations or pack out stations, retrain pickers on the new layout, and optimize the pick paths within the WMS.
And the result? Within 2 weeks, order cycle time dropped by 30%, and customer service calls dropped just as fast. And that translated directly into happier customers and fewer shipping delays. So our last example is inventory accuracy rate. A distributor that we worked with had a constant mismatch between system counts and actual on hand. The numbers in the system didn't match what was on the floor, and that led to pick errors and ordering issues. They were constantly issuing adjustments, no reason codes, no audit trail.
Well, for this one, at first we thought it was just human error. But when we looked at the data, we found adjustments were happening constantly, often without clear reasons why they were happening. We did 2 things first. First thing was we cleaned up their adjustment permissions. We locked down so only supervisors could make an adjustment, and we required reason codes for every change. Second, we also added back counts. It's a quick post-pick check on your high value SKUs. This helped them catch discrepancies sooner. Additionally, we helped them set up a schedule of rolling cycle counts for the high value items instead of waiting for the year end.
Months later, their accuracy jumped from 88% to 99%. That meant fewer chargebacks, faster replenishment, and greater confidence across the team.
And the best part, they didn't have to overhaul their entire operation. They just focused on the right data and made small targeted changes. This is what we mean when we say use the numbers that matter. It's not about tracking everything. It's about tracking what actually drives performance.
And you can apply this same thinking to nearly every part of your warehouse. Reducing labor costs by identifying idle time and reallocating tasks more effectively. Improving how you use your space by analyzing slotting patterns and storage utilization. Boosting customer satisfaction by tightening order accuracy, shipping speed, and responsiveness. A few key performance metrics done right can uncover real opportunities for improvement without guesswork. You don't need more data, you need the right data. It all comes back to having the right performance metrics, the right signals. When you track the right few, you unlock a ton of improvement.
But let's be honest, metrics can backfire if you're not careful. Here are a few common mistakes we see. One is you're tracking too much data. You drown in the data and you can't act on any of it. The second is data without context. 1 week of numbers won't tell the full story, and it doesn't mean your process is broken. The next is not sharing the results. If your team doesn't see the score, how can they help you win the game? And the last one is no goals or baselines. You need to know where you started to measure your improvement.
Our tip, keep it simple. Share your metrics and tie every number back to a goal. Before we wrap up, we want to take a few minutes to cover some common questions that we've heard from other warehousing teams. Maybe it's ones that you've even been wondering about too. These are the kinds of things that can come up often when folks are first starting to work with performance metrics or starting to build more visibility into their operation. So let's dive into a few. First question, we're a small warehouse. Do we really need KPIs?
That's a great question. And one I hear a lot. The short answer is yeah, absolutely. KPIs aren't for just big operations with giant teams and sophisticated software. In fact, small and mid-sized warehouses often stand to gain the most from even just a few simple performance metrics. Think of it this way. When you're running lean, every minute and every pallet matters. Something like pick accuracy or dock to stock time can highlight problems before they become costly. And you don't need fancy tools to track them. You can use spreadsheets, whiteboards, or even a clipboard if that works for you. Start with the basics. Pick 2 to 3 numbers that directly affect your ability to ship on time, reduce waste, or control labor costs. Once you start tracking them consistently, you'll be amazed how quickly you can identify small changes that create big wins.
So next question, how often should we review or update our performance metrics?
That's another great question. So frequency really depends on the type of metric and how fast your operation moves. But our general recommendation is review core KPIs weekly and then do a deeper dive monthly. Weekly reviews can help you catch issues early. If you pick rate suddenly drops or cycle time spike, you want to know about it now, not weeks later. So you can dig in, ask the questions, and fix it fast. Monthly or even quarterly reviews are great for zooming out, checking trends, identifying seasonal patterns, and making bigger strategic decisions like staffing, storage layout changes, slotting updates. And don't forget to share the results. Whether it's a quick dashboard on a TV or a warehouse or a 5-minute huddle, regular updates keep everyone aligned and make the numbers feel real, not just management stuff.
So what if our data is inconsistent or unreliable?
Well, that's a really common challenge, and it's not a deal breaker. It's just a signal that it's time to improve your processes. Start by figuring out why the data isn't clean. Are scanners not being used consistently? Are team members skipping steps? Is your system allowing too many manual edits? A few ways to clean it up. Standardize your processes. Make sure everyone's scanning at the same points in the workflow. Another one is limit permissions. For example, only supervisors can adjust inventory and every adjustment needs a reason code. And lastly, automate where possible. The less manual entry, the fewer chances of human error. Also, remember, imperfect data is still better than no data. Even if you're not 100% confident in every number, looking at the trends over time will still give you valuable insights. Focus on progress, not perfection. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Love that. Progress over perfection.
Mm-hmm.
So one more question that we hear is, how do we get our team to care about the numbers?
Well, this one hits close to home because even the best metrics won't drive the results if your team doesn't see the value. The key is making it relevant, visible, and shared. First, connect the dots. Don't just say our pick rate is down. Show how that affects overtime, shipping delays, or even unhappy customers. Make the impact real. For example, because pick rates dropped 12% this week, we had to stay late 3 nights to finish orders. Second, share the wins. When things go well, shout it out. A small celebration for 100% order accuracy or hitting dock to stock goals makes people feel seen and motivated. Post it, say it in huddles, put it on a whiteboard, shout it from the rooftop. The last is invite participation. Ask your team, what's getting in the way of you hitting numbers? Often, they'll know exactly where the bottlenecks are. When they're part of the solution, they're way more invested in the result. In short, make KPIs something you do with your team, not to your team.
Right. The people aspect of KPIs, again, we talk about making those numbers feel real. People are what do that. So as we wrap up, if you take just a few things from today, let it be this. Start small, just 3 to 5 core metrics that align with your goals. Use your existing tools and focus on tracking consistently, even if it's in Excel. Don't just collect numbers, use them to ask better questions. And above all, take action on what you learn. Let your data tell you where to look next.
We've seen firsthand how much these warehouse health indicators can shift performance in a matter of weeks. At SC Codeworks, we live with real-world practical solutions. If you need help figuring out what metrics make sense for your operation or how to build a simple operational scoreboard, we're here for that.
We're big believers that your data should serve you, not overwhelm you.
We've also written a blog that expands on this exact topic, how to use warehouse data to reduce costs, increase productivity, and stay competitive. You'll find the link in the comments.
If you want to keep the conversation going, please feel free to reach out. Whether you're just starting or trying to get more out of your WMS, we'd love to help. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope you're walking away with at least one new metric that you're ready to track.
Thanks, everyone.